What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. This is Jackson Drives, and we're going to be looking at GT3, specifically the BMW M4 at Motorsports in iRacing. The lap that we're looking at is a 116.95. This is on a fixed setup provided by my league that I'm doing this video for. So if you're finding this video, after the fact and you're like, oh, that's not a very quick time, you're right. It's not. We're using a very safe, very high downforce setup. There are way faster times out here than this, but this is for a specific purpose. So you might be able to gain something out of this. You might not. But let's get into it. So we're coming up to turn one. For these first couple of corners, what I want you to pay attention to is the telemetry. Specifically the brake input, because for turn one, you will notice that there is not any. In real life, there's some Castrol stickers on the wall over here that I like to use as braking points, but they're not here in iRacing, so I will typically do it by feel. I will lift off the throttle, sort of as this is as I'm starting to see the bottom of the hill. You can also use the wall here as it kind of touches the middle of your windshield. I lift down to about 25-30% throttle, get the car turned in, and your apex is going to be pretty much right as the curb is ending here. But you want to get on the throttle before that. So as you're approaching this first sort of kink in the curb, you can start getting back on your throttle, and you can actually just kind of jump over this, or you can get pretty much clean over this curb. You won't get an off track. Just don't touch the wall, obviously. Back on full throttle, pretty well at the apex. I'm at about 95%. And then just full throttle all the way out. Make sure that you're looking with your eyes up the hill. Don't look at this curb, because then you will go over the curb into the grass. Make sure you're looking where you want to go, which is this hill. And then unwind the steering. You can take a little bit of curb there. Again, this is mostly grass. It's a bit of an old scan. In real life, this is all pavement. Lots of runoff. Very safe. In the sim, not so much. So try not to use too much of this. You can put tires on it, but don't go over the curb, because it'll slow you down. Grass will slow you down. Turn two, the big downhill turn. Again, very little braking. I use just a toe of brakes, like 10-15% brakes, to get the car balanced and settled. And you're going to turn it in probably early than you feel like you should. And you're going to look for, so I'm coasting right now while I'm looking for my apex. And as I see it, you can't really see it there. This is what I'm looking for, is this divot in the grass. And I get really, really close to this. So you can actually see, I'm going to go chase here for a sec. I'm already back on throttle as I'm sort of sending my car down the hill. I'm looking for this. I'm turning, I don't know, 30 degrees. I'm making these numbers up. I feather the throttle through here until I'm confident that the car is going to grip up, which is usually about here, halfway down the hill. But you can get, I'm over the line here, and I'm using this kind of, I don't know if you can call that a runoff, but whatever. The car slides out a little bit, but that's fine. Pin it, keep the wheel turned at roughly the same. I tighten it here. Which I actually probably tightened it too much, because the car starts to understeer on this lap, actually, and I track out a little bit, and I need to lift, and I'm just touching the curb here. So I probably would not turn so much. You can probably just go a little bit further down straight, and then just as the hill is ending, apex it here at the other sort of, I guess you can call this a divot in the grass as well, is where you want to stay sort of close to the inside, and then as this side part here is ending, you let the car track out, and then you can use the curb. Again, it's all grass on the other side of this curb here, so be careful how much you take. For turn three, another kind of tricky one for brake markers. I like to use this wall over here. When the track is rubbered in, you can use this color changing of the pavement. But if you're on a green track, this won't be very prominent, and you'll probably end up going wide. But you can brake somewhere at or before the end of this wall here, just at the end of the wall. So I'm braking. I'm actually braking and accelerating. Braking at about 50%. You don't need to brake super hard. About 50%. I'm in third gear. here. And as you're turning into this corner, you're going to use this patch of paved tarmac. They've paved an extra, or I guess a piece of pavement that you're going to follow into this corner. So you might be tempted to try to apex this early. Don't do that. Follow this and it will pretty much show you where to go. This is the line. So you just stay on it. There might be even more grip on this than there would be on the other pavement. There should be. I don't know if iRacing simulates that correctly, but that's what you're supposed to do. So the apex is about here, but you want to get on the throttle way, way early. The BMW does a nice little slide. The rear end kicks out, and you get a good amount of slip angle around this corner, so you can get on the gas really early. So that's probably going to come down to what you're driving. So as you're exiting this corner, you want to be on full throttle long before the actual sort of exit of the corner. As you're coming out, try to look, if you only have one screen like me, it's a little bit tricky, but don't look at the curb here. Because it's the same story as turn one. If you stare at this curb, you're going to go off the track. So try to look at the bridge, and then unwind your steering accordingly. Speaking of the bridge, super scary turn coming up. You want to get turned into it early. Make sure you're all the way on the left, or the right side, sorry, before you turn in. You want to turn into it early, and you do not want to be braking. This is almost flat. You probably could do it flat. I lift because I'm a little baby. So you're turning in before you even see at the bridge, essentially, before you can see down the hill, you're turning in. Because you want to be able to hit the apex, which is halfway down the hill. So I'm lifting as I'm turning the car in so that the car is balanced. And then as soon as I've turned the car in, I'm back on full throttle. And I feather it a little bit. Be careful of this. Don't take this too much because it does unsettle the car. But you can go flat all the way down this. Your braking point is roughly here. This patch or the end of this, or pretty much where this kind of turn ends. So I'm braking. This is a little bit more of an aggressive braking point, but I would recommend, if they're just starting out, brake here. And you can see the tarmac changing color. And then this is second gear for me. I put it in second gear before the first apex in Moss Corner. Or rather, at the first apex in Moss Corner. So I'm second gear now. And then you want to let it track out. Not that much, because that'll get you an off track. The same kind of principle applies. You're going to follow this line again, similar to turn 3. You want to turn it in more than you think you need to here, and look for this curbing right here. And then you power out second gear. The BMW, I find a little bit problematic here, because as soon as the turbos kick in, the rear end likes to get a little bit loose. But yeah, down Andretti straight is pretty straightforward. It's a straight, For this corner, third to last, I brake a little bit, 50%, even less than, at the bottom of this hill. So there's a little hump as you're coming to the end of the straight. And just as you're getting over the hump and hitting the bottom, I'm on the brakes about 50%. And you want to try to take this as tight as you can. You can take that first apex. I find with the BMW, if I take the first apex, I catch a lot of understeer on the second part. So I leave a little bit of space here. I'm leaving about a half a car length of space here. And then I find I have an easier time getting the car turned in here. I apex this corner super, super late. And then get a really good run out into the second to last corner. I've heard of people keeping more speed through the last two corners and taking this through the middle. I don't know if that's faster. If it is, you can let me know in the comments, so I can try it. But then on the brakes, again, a very small amount on the brakes, about 25%. Keeping it tight. Here, you could keep it tighter than me. I'm leaving quite a bit of space, actually. If you're qualifying, you can get really, really close to these curbs. This video is from a testing session where I was testing fuel economy and usage, and I was driving a little bit passively. So it's going to track out a little bit. You want to get it as close to the left-hand side as you possibly can for the last corner. I'm a little torn between third gear and second gear. I find second gear is a little bit rangy on the BMW. It doesn't feel like it likes it. The rear tires, the rear end kicks out, tires get hot. I'll keep it in third gear here. This is a tricky corner. Just make sure you slow down in time. Make sure that if you miss the apex in this corner here, like if you're all the way out here, make sure you slow down and get over to where you need to be, which is as close to this as possible. And then you're going to turn in sort of at this, the end of this fence, maybe even later. And be careful on this curb because it is very tall and it will upset the car. I have found that the fastest way to get through it in the BMW is by not touching this curb at all. And then here, this is pretty self-explanatory, you know, you can get up on the curb. This curb's pretty safe as long as you don't touch the grass on the other side. Flat. And that is a lap at Motorsport. If you like this video and you think it helped, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yeah, that's it.